Rutgers Athletic Director urges caution on further Big Ten expansion, but he keeps the door open. In Oregon, they hire a new president, and that gentleman came from Wisconsin. University of Wisconsin-Madison. Welcome to episode 166 of College Football's Peek Around the Corner with your host, Greg Pflugar. We cover everything in college football because we love everything in college football. And if you do as well, subscribe to our channel. Smash that like button if you like our content. Share the video with your family and friends. Let's not waste any more time. Let's first get to the Rutgers story. Rutgers Athletic Director comes out and urges caution with Big Ten expansion, but keeps the door open by David Hookstead of Outkick. Rutgers Athletic Director Pat Hobbs thinks the Big Ten should take its time with further expansion. Rumors are swirling. Washington and Oregon could soon follow USC and UCLA to the Big Ten amid issues with the Pac-12. To be clear, nobody with any power to impact this situation has made that claim. But there has been a lot of smoke. Oh yeah, there is the smoke. No question about it. Peek Around the Corner said last week, finally we could say, after the door closed in the second week of October, the expansion door now is cracked open. Pete Thamel was the first to say it a few weeks prior. Specifically, back to the article, it was previously reported the two would come for reduced payouts in the neighborhood of $40 million annually. While Hobbs isn't against further expansion, he did urge people to take things slowly moving forward. Rutgers AD Pat Hobbs weighs in on further Big Ten expansion. You want to do things very carefully in a very measured way. You want to be mindful of the entire landscape, not just what's going on in the Pac-12, but the entire landscape. I like where we are. I know there's rumors out there for further expansion, and here's the money shot of this article. I know there's rumors out there for further expansion. I'm not giving away anything when I say this. I like where we are. I'm not giving away anything when I say this. Yes, there's rumors, there's smoke. They're talking about it in the Big Ten circles. I think what you want to do when you expand is you want to settle in. Make sure it's all working very well. In other words, getting USC and UCLA onboarded inside the Big Ten before you go out and do more. Make sure it's all working very well before you think about other things. Now look, but you're always open to it. Always open to further expansion. The door is open right now. The timing, there's a lot of hurdles to get Oregon and Washington into the Big Ten. To get all the presidents or most of the presidents on board, you need the money from a media company to come in and pay for it. Washington and Oregon are going to have to agree to come in at a discount rate. Lots of different hurdles. Not discluding what the Pac-12 is trying to do, trying to get a Pac-12 done deal right now. Try to get it done before the Big Ten can hire the new commissioner. But again, back to Hobbs, Rutgers Athletic Director. Now look, but you're always open to it. You hear rumors about what's happening with the ACC via Florida State, right? Other schools possibly getting ready to pull the trigger on challenging ACC's grant of rights in some way, in some fashion. Again, back to the article. You hear rumors about what's happening with the ACC in terms of realignment, the Big 12 in terms of possibly poaching the Pac-12, all these things. So you just got to continue to watch. Hobbs explained during an appearance on the TKR podcast. Hobbs also noted that Big Ten presidents and chancellors are very new and young for the most part, which he seems to factor into how things will play out. The timing is not quite right yet for the Big Ten. They had a goal or no goal for further expansion. They had a decision window between August 15th and October 15th. We reported here at Peek Around the Corner in July, and the decision was a no-go. But now the door has been cracked open. The situation has changed. The landscape has changed. The math might have changed. With consolidation, sometimes it's hard to slow it down. Sometimes you have to strike while the opportunity is there. Back to the article, will the Big Ten add more teams? It seems like the Big Ten will eventually have to add more teams. College sports certainly appear to be trending towards having super conferences. Hell, we're already kind of there. Once USC and UCLA join the Big Ten next summer, and Oklahoma and Texas join the SEC, the two powerhouse conferences will be comically ahead of the rest of the pack. They both already are, but the gap will soon be too big to overcome. That means teams will probably run into those conferences for safety if they can, if they have the opportunity. That's why right now Oregon and Washington are going to keep swinging away until until they're forced to sign the Pac-12 deal, and they're finally told, no, not until for another 3 or 4 years. That's coming out of the Big Ten mouths. When Oregon and Washington hear that, okay, they'll sign the Pac-12 deal. But for right now, they are swinging. The door is open again, and they are swinging away. And those other Pac-12 schools know this. Back to the article. Sorry if that reality offends you, but we get paid here at Outkick to tell the truth. You can't see the writing on the wall when you're living with your head in the sand. The only question is when more expansion happens. The reality is nobody has an answer for that. But as Hobbs pointed out, you always have to remain open to different possibilities. There's a very high chance over the course of the next few years, the Big Ten or the SEC both add more teams. Oregon, Washington to the Big Ten definitely seems like the most likely next move. Again, put your comments down in the comment section below the video. Let me know what you think about what Hobbs, the athletic director of Rutgers, just said. Definitely the door is open, even for a school way out east, Piscataway, New Jersey, thinking about adding 2 more schools way out in the Pacific Coast, even for the University of Rutgers, where maybe the incentive is not there. The door remains open, and it is about Oregon and Washington. No question about it. Again, I think there's a timing issue to all of this. Big Ten is not expected to hire a new commission to the middle of April. That commission is just going to jump in, try to rally the votes and expand with Oregon and Washington. I have to think, though, when Turnkey, the consultant group, is going through their candidates, the main question is probably to those potential candidates, what do you think about Big Ten expansion? What do you think about consolidation? What do you think about the timing of consolidation? Does Oregon and Washington interest you? If we bring Oregon and Washington in, how does that affect the 16 schools? On and on and on and on. So maybe this is all baked in. When that new commissioner comes, and if the door gets kicked wide open, maybe they can act real fast. But will Oregon and Washington wait until the middle of April? We shall see. Now let's get to the University of Oregon. Ducks Wire. Again, put down your comments about this article. I read them all. New Oregon's president's Big Ten roots add fuel to the conference realignment fire. Zachary Neal from Ducks Wire of this morning. The University of Oregon officially hired John Carl Schultz as the 19th president of the university on Monday. Schultz will take over from Michael Scheel, who left to take the job of the president at Northwestern University last year. So the former president of Oregon is going to Northwestern. The next Oregon president, who's going to start July 1st, is coming from Wisconsin. Of course that's adding fuel. That's exactly what the University of Oregon needed to do. Those 2 big research universities plucking the president from Wisconsin and having their former president go to Northwestern. The Ducks couldn't be lined up more perfectly. No pun intended. Or maybe it was pun intended. Back to the article. While this is a story that is much bigger than just sports, no question about it, but we're a college football YouTube channel, so we're going to focus on the sports primarily. But yes, academic research is even more important. It certainly reaches the world of football and could potentially have some ramifications down the road for the Ducks. Before coming to Eugene, Schultz was the provost at the University of Wisconsin, a prominent member of the Big Ten Conference. Schultz is a sports fan. And he has been very vocal about his respect for the Big Ten in the past. He has also had a role to play in the conference expansion that took place a year ago, leading to USC and UCLA leaving for the Pac-12. So now that Schultz is in Eugene, does that mean that Oregon will be announcing its departure to the Big Ten in the coming week? It's not all that simple. However, Schultz could end up playing a key role in the continued conference realignment talks out west. Here are some interesting notes about him and how it could impact Oregon's standing in the Pac-12 going forward. Schultz was a fan of the Big Ten expansion. Last year, when USC and UCLA were officially accepted by the Big Ten, Schultz released a statement praising the move, lauding how smart it was for the conference to expand out west. Quote, "This expansion helps solidify the Big Ten Conference as the one true national powerhouse conference with members, universities, teams, and fans stretching from coast to coast," Schultz said. As importantly, it adds two outstanding academic institutions to the Big Ten, the premier Power 5 academic conference in the country, unquote. You don't have to read between any lines to see that Schultz is a fan of the Big Ten, moving out west and working to upend the SEC as the preeminent conference in the nation. Schultz had a vote. Last year, when the presidents and chancellors of the Big Ten voted to approve the expansion and bring in both USC and UCLA, Schultz played a direct part. He served as Wisconsin's interim chancellor last summer when the Big Ten voted to expand. Unable to comment on the University of Oregon move during the introductory press conference at Oregon on Monday, Schultz was asked about the potential of the Ducks leaving the Pac-12 for the Big Ten, following the footsteps of USC and UCLA. Quote, "I cannot answer that question right now," he said, according to the Oregonian. "I am a hardcore Oregon Duck now, so I very much want to see what's in the best interest of this university." No comment at this time. If you put two and two together, if you take what Schultz has said about the Big Ten Conference in the past and match it what he says about wanting to do what is in the best interest for Oregon, then it's not too hard to believe that somewhere down the line, the new University of Oregon president would be in favor of conference realignment if it were able to be on the table. A lot has to happen between now and then. But I think that Schultz's background and stated opinions on the Big Ten and conference realignment in general are certainly notable. I absolutely agree. July 1st is important. July 1st, circle the date. Schultz's term as the next president of University of Oregon doesn't officially start until July 1st of 2023. That may be incredibly important because of a lot could happen between now and then. Notably, the Pac-12 is working to finalize a new media rights deal and is expected to be brought to the university presidents and chancellors in the coming months, according to James Crapey. It's still unclear who will cast the vote for Oregon if Schultz is not yet in office. Patrick Phillips, who has been serving as the Oregon's interim president since August 20th, is returning to his role as faculty effective Tuesday, and University of Oregon Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer Jamie McCuffett will take over as interim president until Schultz arrives. So now we have a new interim president. Phillips has attended meetings of the Pac-12 presidents and chancellors for several months. Interim president and Moffitt has not. So very interesting. Incredible drama behind the scenes. A lot of cloak and dagger. I'm not saying that Schultz would vote against the media deal for the Pac-12 simply because he may have ambitions of moving Oregon to Big Ten down the road, but the fact that he may miss out on the vote altogether feels notable. And finally, what all this means. In a short-term view of things, this doesn't mean much when it comes to the world of conference realignment. Schultz isn't taking over at Oregon until July, and he won't be able to throw his weight around in a major way immediately. In a long-term view of things, though, this certainly could be something that inches the University of Oregon on when it comes to the notion of leaving the Pac-12 for the Big Ten. There are, of course, a ton of moving pieces, and it takes more than just the actions of one university president to make that sort of move happen. However, based on his track record and his stated opinions on both realignment and the status of the Big Ten, it feels like fans who are in the camp of Oregon needs to leave the Pac-12 should be happy with this hire. I absolutely agree. You have to be happy with this hire. If you are an Oregon Duck fan, a faculty, an alumni, a student athlete, a coach, you want your school to go to the Big Ten. If you are in that category, this hire is a home run. Schultz was for Big Ten expansion out west. Wisconsin, Minnesota, those Big Ten West schools were all in favor of UCLA and UCLA bringing on in. And some of those schools do not want UCLA and USC to be left home on an island for travel purposes and for recruiting purposes. We've mentioned here at Peek Around the Corner, we've been told over and over again, a lot of Big Ten schools don't want USC and UCLA to have the full advantage of having the Big Ten status, all that revenue, all that exposure, and have all that recruiting ground to themselves. No, they want some other Pac-12. They want some other Pacific Coast schools out there with USC and UCLA for more than one reason. Now, think of this. When Oregon's going through their candidates, trying to figure out who their next president is going to be, one of the major points was expansion, conference realignment, a different affiliation. Oregon's been swinging, trying to get into the Big Ten. So as they're going through their candidate list, they're asking questions, right? What can you do for us to try to get us in the Big Ten? What is your vision? And of course, I think it's obvious. Schultz met the vision. He met the answers. I'm just speculating here. But I think this has a lot to do with University of Oregon trying to increase their research, trying to increase their expenditures, trying to become more of a research university, and trying to get into the Big Ten. Again, put down your comments. I am going to put a link to both these articles, the Rutgers and the Rutgers Athletic Director and the new hire of the University of Oregon President, in the description box. You can read the whole article yourself and let me know what you think. But I think this is pretty big for future Big Ten expansion. Athletic Director Rutgers, leaving the door open. University of Oregon, hiring a new president. It happens to be the University of Wisconsin. Lots of things going on. Of course, there is hurdles, many hurdles to get this done soon with Oregon and Washington. Big Ten will need a media company to come in and pay for the freight because Fox Sports isn't going to do it. Whoever the new commissioner is going to have to quickly wound up the votes to get Oregon and Washington in. You need Gene Smith and Ohio State on board. Those 16 members need to remain whole. Washington and Oregon would have to come in as a discount rate. And of course, there has to be further examination of the entire landscape. What's going on in ACC country? Lots of things to consider. However, peek around the corner, we said it last week. The door, the expansion door, Big Ten expansion door is open, slightly ajar. It is cracked open in the middle of April. If Oregon and Washington are still available for whatever reason, and it could be multiple different reasons at the same time, but if they're still available, if they haven't signed that grant of rights, whatever grant of rights the Pac-12 puts in front of them, in the middle of April, depending on the commissioner, the new Big Ten commissioner, that door can be kicked wide. It could be kicked wide open again. So stick with us here at Peek Around the Corner. Stay with us as we follow this story and many other stories in college football. Until next time. From all of us at Peek Around the Corner to all of you, please, you all take good care of each other. Thank you so very much.